Halo isn't just about fighting aliens or saving Earth. It's a universe that spans over 100,000 years of myth, war, betrayal, and forgotten technology.
But even after all the campaigns, the books, the shows, even after walking the halls of Zeta Halo or facing down the Flood, there are corners of Halo's history that most players never see. Today, we're diving deep. Not just the obvious trivia, not just surface-level facts, but hidden stories, developer secrets, abandoned lore threads, and the ancient broken truths that still shape the galaxy. This is 50 plus little-known facts about Halo. You might know the legend, but do you know what it cost to build it? Let's begin. Fact number 1. Zeta Halo is a Frankenstein's monster of ancient technology.
Most Halo rings are about 10,000 kilometers in diameter. Zeta Halo, however, is much smaller, about 7,000 kilometers wide. That's because it was never designed to be like the others. Originally, it was part of the senescent array, an older set of experimental rings built long before the final Halo array. It survived the chaotic wars between Forerunners and Flood, but at a cost. It was damaged, captured, and later refitted. That's why Zeta feels unstable, haunted, and alive. It's a broken piece of history, pretending to be something new, and hiding ancient, unfinished experiments deep beneath its surface. Fact number 2. Master Chief's official height was reckoned. Originally, Bungie listed Master Chief as standing over 7 feet tall without armor. Later lore adjusted his height slightly downward to 6 feet 10 inches unarmored and 7 feet 2 inches with Mjolnir armor equipped. Why the change? Realism. Writers and animators realized the original heights would have made him almost unusable inside the cramped cockpits and hallways depicted in the games. The slight adjustment kept his image towering, but made in-game environments feel believable. Fact number 3. The Flood was inspired by real-world biology. Bungie didn't create the Flood as generic zombies. Their design was based on parasitic organisms like cordyceps fungus, which infects hosts and manipulates behavior. Early Flood concepts even included spore clouds that could steer infected marines toward living targets. The goal was never just to make players afraid of death. It was to make them afraid of loss of self. That fear, the terror of becoming something you don't recognize, is at the heart of Halo's horror. Fact number 4. Installation 4 was supposed to be a giant Dyson sphere. Before settling on the now iconic ring shape, Bungie originally envisioned the first Halo as a full Dyson sphere, a gigantic structure surrounding a star. It would have been truly massive, capable of hosting ecosystems, oceans, entire continents. But technical limitations in 2001, and the complexity of explaining it to players, forced a redesign. The ring was simpler, visually stunning, and carried a natural sense of mystery. The choice shaped the entire aesthetic of the Halo universe. Fact number 5. The Arbiter's role was created late in Halo 2's development. In the original drafts of Halo 2, players would only ever play as Master Chief. The idea of controlling a Covenant elite came much later, partly as a way to add depth to the enemy's side. Introducing Fel Vadam, the Arbiter, not only created one of Halo's most beloved characters, but also reframed the Covenant as something more complex than a monolithic evil. It was a gamble Bungie wasn't sure players would accept. Today, it's seen as one of Halo's smartest narrative moves. Fact number 6. The Librarian didn't just save humanity, she altered us. The Forerunner, known as the Librarian, wasn't just collecting DNA for preservation. She actively engineered humanity's evolution. In Halo 4, it's revealed that the Librarian accelerated specific traits in humans, including the ability for certain individuals to interface with Forerunner technology directly. Master Chief's compatibility with ancient artifacts isn't luck, it's design. He and all Reclaimers were shaped over eons to be able to complete what the Forerunners could not. Fact number 7. Cortana's rampancy was foreshadowed much earlier than you think. Rampancy, the condition where AIs grow so intelligent they break down, was hinted at as early as Halo Combat Evolved. These were subtle audio cues planted by Bungie to foreshadow her eventual rebellion years before Halo 4 and 5 would explore it fully. Fact number 8. Halo's iconic theme was recorded in less than 3 days. The legendary Halo theme, the chanting monks, the swelling orchestra, was composed and recorded under insane time pressure. Composer Martin O'Donnell was called in just weeks before Halo's first big reveal at Macworld 1999. He composed the iconic intro in a single day, and the recording session, with a small choir, lasted under 3 days. That piece would go on to become one of the most recognizable themes in gaming history. Fact number 9. Hunters are not single creatures. Those towering, shield-wielding enemies known as hunters are not one organism. They are colonies. Each hunter is made up of thousands of worm-like beings called Legolo, bound together by electromagnetic fields and collective will. Kill enough of the mass, and the structure collapses. This is why hunters move strangely, shrug off incredible damage, and behave unlike any other Covenant species. Fact number 10. The Halo rings are only a small part of the Forerunners' ultimate plan. The firing of the Halo array was never the end goal. It was a contingency. The Forerunners intended the rings to buy time, to sterilize the Flood's food supply, and allow for reseeding life across the galaxy. Hidden within installations like the Ark and Shield Worlds are seed vaults, genetic blueprints and ecosystems designed to reboot galactic civilization after the stars went silent. The librarians' work ensured that in the long dark after extinction, life would find a way to begin again. Fact number 11. The Covenant's holy city, High Charity, was built around a Forerunner artifact. High Charity wasn't just a floating metropolis. It was built around the remains of a Forerunner dreadnought, a massive, ancient vessel that predated the Covenant itself. The San Shayum discovered the ship and used it as the city's power source, political symbol, and religious artifact. Even at their height, the Covenant never fully understood the Dreadnought's true capabilities. In Halo 2, it becomes the vessel that carries the prophet of truth to Earth. An irony, given that it was originally a Forerunner tool meant to protect life, not enslave it. Fact number 12. Sergeant Johnson was technically immune to the Flood. In the early Halo lore, specifically the Halo graphic novel, it suggested that Sergeant Major Avery Johnson had been exposed to a secret ONI augmentation project called Boron Syndrome, which caused irregular neural patterns. The result? His brain was unsuitable for Flood infection. That's why he could survive close contact with the parasite during key battles without being consumed like other soldiers. Later canon downplayed this, but the original explanation gave Johnson an even more badass edge. Fact number 13. The Mjolnir armor isn't just armor. It's a nervous system. Spartan armor isn't simply a suit. It's a second skin. Mjolnir Mark 5 and 6 suits directly link to the Spartan's nervous system through a smart polymer weave. This allows for instant reaction times, superhuman reflexes, and force multiplication. The downside? Without neural training or the proper physical enhancements, wearing Mjolnir armor would break a normal human's spine just from the act of moving. Fact number 14. The Prophet of Regret's real name is Lord Moron. Before ascending to religious leadership, the Prophet of Regret had a personal name, Lord Moron. Early Halo novels and lore entries hint at the fact that Sanshum had names, histories, and identities before adopting their prophet titles. Lord Moron was known as a radical among the prophet caste, impatient, impulsive, and dangerously ambitious. His reckless decision to attack humanity without full Covenant Council approval sparked much of the war's chaos. Fact number 15. Humanity's first Halo discovery was in 2055, and it was a total accident. The planet Harvest was the first place humans made direct contact with Halo-related artifacts. During agricultural scans, settlers discovered strange Forerunner glyphs buried beneath the soil. They didn't recognize the significance. Shortly afterward, Covenant forces arrived. Not for the humans, but for the relics. The resulting conflict escalated into the first battle of the Human-Covenant War. We didn't even know we were standing on sacred ground. Fact number 16. Cortana's visual appearance was based on Catherine Halsey's younger self. In-universe, Cortana is a smart AI derived from a flash-cloned copy of Dr. Halsey's brain. Her visual form, blue-tinted, sleek, and ethereal, is based on Halsey's self-image as a young woman. This choice wasn't just artistic. It represented Halsey's view of Cortana as her child, a being carrying forward her ambition, her guilt, and her hopes. Even if Cortana eventually forged her own path. Fact number 17. Early versions of Halo were meant to be a Mac exclusive. RTS. Before Halo became the FPS phenomenon we know, Bungie originally developed it as a real-time strategy game, RTS, exclusively for Macintosh computers. Steve Jobs even helped reveal an early version at Macworld 1999. The design eventually evolved into a third-person action game, and then, once Microsoft acquired Bungie, into the first-person shooter that launched the Xbox era. Fact number 18. The Energy Sword's design is meant to symbolize Covenant unity. The iconic Energy Sword, wielded by elites in combat, isn't just a weapon. It's a cultural symbol. Its dual blades represent the unification of San Shayun and Sangheili under the Covenant. The blue glow signifies loyalty to the Great Journey. That's why, when elites rebel during the Covenant's civil war, some choose to forge new variants of the sword, blood-red versions, signaling their rejection of ancient dogma. Fact number 19. The Gravmind is technically an extension of the Precursor's will. If the theory that the Flood originated from corrupted Precursor remnants is true, then the Gravmind, the Flood's centralized intellect, isn't just a hive mind. It's the angry, corrupted memory of the Precursors themselves. Every Gravmind that forms carries echoes of ancient knowledge and cosmic resentment, directed at the Forerunners, and now at humanity. The Gravmind is not merely a survival instinct, it's vengeance with memory. Fact number 20. Spartan-1, I-2 candidates were selected based on genetic markers, not just strength. The children chosen for the Spartan 1-1 program weren't picked randomly or just for their athletic potential. Dr. Halsey selected candidates based on a specific set of genetic markers, traits tied to enhanced reaction times, resilience to augmentation procedures, and even rare cognitive flexibility under extreme stress. This genetic lottery is what made Spartans so effective, and why replicating the program, even decades later with Spartan 3 and Spartan 4 generations, never quite produced the same legends. Fact number 21. there was almost a flood boss battle in Halo Combat Evolved. During early development of Halo, Bungie planned a massive flood boss fight at the end of the library level. The encounter would have introduced a unique, mutated flood creature, controlling lesser forms through hive coordination. But due to time constraints and hardware limitations, the fight was cut, and players instead faced endless waves of flood. The idea of a centralized flood commander evolved later into the full concept of the Grave Mind. Fact number 22. Noble Team's armor reflects their roles. In Halo Reach, every member of Noble Team wears customized Mjolnir armor specifically suited to their specialty. For example, Emil's EVA skull-faced helmet signifies his role as a scout and close combat specialist. Jorge, the heavy weapons expert, uses a modified Mjolnir Mark V that's bulkier to accommodate mounted weaponry. The designs aren't just for flair. They visually tell you exactly who these Spartans are and what they bring to the battlefield. Fact number 23. Forerunner AI and Scylla were more than just assistants. In Forerunner society, AI weren't subservient tools like human smart AI. They were respected partners, often granted autonomy, personalities, and high-level decision-making authority. Some Forerunner and Scylla grew so advanced they bordered on independent consciousness, something that made them both invaluable and, eventually, deeply dangerous during the Forerunner Flood War. Fact number 24. The original design for the brutes was even more savage. Early concepts for the Jiralhanae, brutes, made them resemble semi-feral beasts, much closer to werewolves than gorilla-like soldiers. Bungie toned down their animalistic appearance to emphasize their brutal intelligence. Their society became based on packs, honor through dominance, and deeply rooted tribal traditions, making them a dark mirror to the more disciplined Sangheli elites. Fact number 25. Halo 2's story was originally much darker. Bungie's original drafts for Halo 2 were grim. The story would have ended with Earth devastated, humanity on the brink of extinction, and Chief captured by the Covenant. However, time constraints forced the team to split the narrative, ending with the now famous cliffhanger instead. Some of the unused darker elements later found their way into the mood of Halo 3 and ODST. Fact number 26. The Pillar of Autumn's crash site is a full recreation in Infinite. In Halo Infinite, Zeta Halo features a location known as the Wreckage Site, a nod to the Pillar of Autumn crash from Halo CE. Developers recreated the crash pattern, debris layout, and even environmental damage as a subtle homage to the ring's history. It's not just scenery, it's a memory embedded in the very soil. Fact number 27. The Prophets were originally meant to be physically powerful. In early development, the Sans Shayum were imagined as physically formidable beings, almost predatory in stature. Over time, their depiction shifted into the frail, manipulative high priests we see in the final games. This change served to enhance the Covenant's commentary on how religious authority can grow corrupt and detached from the realities they claim to govern. Fact number 28. Spartan augmentation was fatal for over 50% of candidates. The Spartan 2 program's brutal truth is rarely highlighted in the games themselves, but in the extended lore, it's made explicit. More than half of the abducted children either died or were permanently disabled during the augmentation process. Those who survived became legends. Those who didn't were quietly forgotten by ONI and never mentioned again. Fact number 29. Cortana's original voice was almost very different. Actress Jen Taylor voices Cortana with her now iconic calm yet emotional tone. But early recordings had Cortana speaking much faster, almost machine-like, cold and clipped. developers realized it made her too robotic. Taylor's second performance gave Cortana her humanity, subtle vulnerability layered beneath layers of wit and strength, turning her into one of gaming's most beloved AI characters. Fact number 30. There's a hidden terminal on the Ark that hints at other galaxies. In Halo 3, players can access terminals hidden throughout the campaign that provide deep lore on the Forerunners and the Flood. One terminal in particular hints that the Forerunners monitored other galaxies for signs of Flood infection. This suggests that the Forerunners' war wasn't isolated to the Milky Way, and that future threats may come from beyond anything humanity has yet faced. Fact number 31. The Covenant believed the Halo rings were portals to godhood. Most Covenant soldiers weren't fully educated about what the Halo rings actually were. They were told the rings were gateways that would usher them into a divine ascension, the Great Journey. Only the highest-ranking prophets knew the partial truth. The rings were weapons. But even they misunderstood the full horror. The lower ranks lived, thought, and died, believing that activating a halo would transform them into gods, not end all life in the galaxy. Fact number 32. The battle rifle was originally cut from Halo. Combat evolved. The battle rifle, one of the most iconic Halo weapons, was originally meant to debut in Halo: Combat Evolved. Early builds included a 3-round burst rifle. However, due to balancing concerns and technical issues, it was removed late in development. It finally made its debut in Halo 2, becoming a staple of the series' multiplayer and campaign combat forever. Fact number 33. There were multiple gravemines. Contrary to popular belief, the gravemind is not a single immortal entity. It's a pattern. Whenever enough biomass and knowledge are accumulated by the Flood, a new gravemind is born. Each gravemind is the collective memory of past Flood infestations, but everyone is technically its own being, shaped by its own war. When Halo rings are fired, graveminds are destroyed, but the pattern can begin again. Fact number 34. Halo Infinite's Zeta Halo is linked to the origins of the Flood. Deep beneath the surface of Zeta Halo are references to ancient Forerunner experiments on Flood biology, early attempts to study and control the parasite before it became unstoppable. Some terminals and hidden lore drops in Halo Infinite suggest that Zeta Halo's catastrophic damage may have been tied to these failed experiments, and that pieces of that original horror still slumber within the ring's broken systems. Fact number 35. The ODSTs were created to solve a political problem. Orbital dropshock troopers, or helljumpers, weren't just built for tactical advantage. The UNSC needed a way to appease outer colony populations without relying entirely on Spartans, who were seen as secretive and government-controlled. ODSTs provided a more human face to elite operations. Highly trained, fiercely independent soldiers who could perform black ops without causing political panic. Fact number 36. Elites honor their dead by forging their weapons into statues. In Sangiaili, elite culture, honoring fallen warriors isn't done through burial alone. Often, the weapons of a fallen elite are melted down and reforged into monuments or ceremonial relics. These statues can be found in traditional Sangiaili cities, like Vadam Keep, serving as reminders that even in death, a warrior's strength endures. Fact number 37. Halo Combat Evolved's Warhog physics were inspired by RC cars. The beloved Warhog was never meant to handle like a normal vehicle. Developers at Bungie drew inspiration from remote control cars, vehicles that are durable, slightly unpredictable, and wildly fun to maneuver at high speeds. That bouncy, loose feel made driving across Halo's sprawling maps an unforgettable experience. and created countless chaotic memories in both campaign and multiplayer.
Fact number 38. The Didact was originally meant to appear in Halo 3.
Concepts for the Didact, the ancient Forerunner general, existed during the development of Halo 3. Early drafts considered revealing him at the Ark as a surviving ancient being tied to the Forerunner Flood War. Ultimately, Bungie decided to conclude the Human Covenant War cleanly, leaving the Didact's full introduction to 344 Industries, Halo 4. But his fingerprints were always present, hidden in Forerunner architecture and whispered in terminals. Fact number 39. The Forerunner concept of time was completely non-linear. Forerunner society didn't view time the way humans do. Their technology allowed for stasis fields, domain echoes, and quantum memory preservation, meaning that past and future often existed simultaneously for them. Important leaders could exist both in memory and in reality, blurring the line between history and prophecy. This perception heavily influenced how they built and structured the Halo array, viewing extinction and rebirth not as an end, but as a cycle to be managed. Fact number 40. There are over 1,000 documented alien species in Halo canon. Beyond the familiar Covenant races and human colonies, the wider Halo universe contains references to over 1,000 alien species, catalogued by the Forerunners and later touched upon by humanity's exploratory divisions. Most remain unseen in the gains, only hinted at through ancient data caches, glyphs, or mentions in obscure lore. It's a subtle reminder: the galaxy of Halo is vast, and we've only explored a tiny fraction of it. Fact number 41. Spartans are technically classified as property of ONI. In the darker corners of Halo lore, Spartans, especially the Spartan tattoos, aren't legally treated as soldiers or citizens. They are classified as assets under ONI jurisdiction. This allowed the Office of Naval Intelligence to cover up deaths, manipulate records, and even use Spartans without acknowledging their individual rights. Officially, they were materials vital to national security, not people. It's a chilling reminder that humanity's survival in Halo often came at the cost of its own morality. Fact number 42. The first Gravemind may have preceded the Forerunners. Ancient texts and cryptic terminals in Halo lore hint that the Flood may have achieved Gravemind-level intelligence even before the Forerunners began studying them. If true, this would mean that the sentient Flood mind, able to coordinate infections across entire star systems, could be millions of years older than any known civilization. The Flood doesn't just threaten the future. It remembers ancient wars humanity never knew existed. Fact number 43. The Arbiter's title was originally a mark of shame. In Covenant culture, the title of Arbiter wasn't originally an honor. It was a punishment. The Arbiter was chosen from disgraced elites, forced to take on suicidal missions in an attempt to redeem themselves through death. Bilvadan's journey from branded heretic to savior of the Sanheli represents a complete transformation of what the Arbiter stands for: a legacy of failure reborn as hope. Fact number 44. Halo's AI relies on ancient Forerunner networks. Smart AIs like Cortana aren't just operating on human-built systems. Much of their true functionality, particularly when interfacing with Forerunner technology, relies on ancient data networks inherited from relics. Some Forerunner systems were so advanced that even rampant AIs, like Cortana in her later stages, could barely comprehend their true scale or origin. Fact number 45. A hidden message in Halo 3's ending credits hints at the Reclaimer saga. In Halo 3, if you watch the legendary ending carefully, there's a moment where Cortana says, "Wake me when you need me." This wasn't just a poetic close to the original trilogy. Bungie and 343 Industries used it as a subtle foreshadowing that Master Chief's story wasn't finished, that humanity's role as reclaimers, heirs to the Forerunners' mantle, would eventually be fully realized in future games.
Fact number 46. Forerunner monitors were originally meant to be uplifted ancillas.
Early drafts of Halo's lore proposed that monitors like 343 Guilty Spark were actually uplifted minds from organic beings, ancient scientists and commanders transformed into AI custodians. This idea evolved into the concept of ancillas, highly autonomous Forerunner AIs.
Spark's often unsettling behavior, emotional, playful, manipulative, makes a lot more sense when you realize he might not just be a machine, but a fragment of a person who lived and died eons ago.
Fact number 47. Early Bungie designs included playable flood campaigns.
Bungie once considered allowing players to experience a campaign from the perspective of a flood-infected character, not as a hero, but as part of the evolving hive mind. This idea was eventually scrapped, but some elements survived in multiplayer modes like Infection, where players turn others during matches.
Fact number 48. The Banished rejected Covenant religion entirely.
Unlike the remnants of the Old Covenant, the Banished, Atriox's faction introduced in Halo Wars 2 and expanded in Halo Infinite, reject all notions of the Forerunner divinity or the Great Journey. To Atriox and his warbands, gods are irrelevant. Power, survival, and independence are the only truths.
This makes them even more dangerous than the Covenant ever was. They fight not for prophecy, but for conquest without restraint.
Fact number 49. Spartans can move so fast they break bone on impact.
Enhanced muscles, reaction speeds, and Mjolnir armor allow Spartans to move at incredible speeds. In hand-to-hand combat, a full-strength Spartan punch can generate enough force to shatter bones through armor. In fact, unaugmented humans struck by a Spartan's full force, even unintentionally, can be killed almost instantly.
Fact number 50. There's a Forerunner device that can rewrite physical reality. Deep Halo lore, especially the Forerunner saga novels, introduces the Composer, a device originally designed to transfer biological consciousness into digital form. But variations of this technology hint at something more terrifying: quantum-level restructuring of reality itself. In theory, Forerunner devices could dismantle matter, reprogram biological beings, or rebuild planets from scratch, all without conventional destruction. Fact number 51. Halo rings can repair themselves over centuries. Forerunner technology is designed for endurance. When damaged, Halo installations can initiate long-term self-repair using nanotechnology embedded within their superstructures. However, full restoration takes centuries, sometimes millennia, depending on the extent of damage.
That's why Zeta Halo, though battered and broken, still functions after being partially shattered.
Fact number 52. Spartan-33 soldiers were designed to die. Unlike the hyper-elite Spartan 2s, the Spartan 3 program was built around quantity, not survivability. Thousands of children were trained and augmented with cheaper methods, equipped with lighter armor, and deployed into impossible missions. Their purpose wasn't long-term survival. It was victory at any cost. Only a handful of Spartan 2s, like Noble Team's members, survived long enough to become legends.
Fact number 53. There was almost a stealth mechanic in Halo. Combat evolved. Early builds of Halo CE included experimental stealth mechanics. Players could sneak past Covenant patrols, disable enemies silently, and avoid entire firefights. But these mechanics were scrapped late in development to focus on the game's now iconic 30 seconds of fun combat loop. Dynamic, means diagnosia, fast-paced engagements punctuated by smart use of vehicles.
Fact number 54. Guilty Spark becomes far more important after Halo 3.
After his apparent death in Halo 3, 343 Guilty Spark survives, rescued and reassembled by human explorers. In the novel Halo Renegades, Spark becomes a key figure in humanity's attempt to locate ancient precursor artifacts. His fragmented memories hint at an even larger galactic history, beyond what the Forerunners themselves recorded. Fact number 55. The Halo franchise was almost a film before it was a TV series. In the mid-2000s, a Halo movie was deep into pre-production. Peter Jackson was attached as executive producer, and District 9's Neil Blomkamp was set to direct. Concept art, sets, and costumes were already being built. But contract disputes between Microsoft and Hollywood studios killed the project. Elements from the abandoned movie eventually inspired Halo, Landfall, and parts of District 9 itself. Fact number 56. Forerunners could live for tens of thousands of years. Through genetic engineering, neural enhancements, and stasis technologies, Forerunners could extend their lives well beyond human comprehension. High-ranking Forerunners, particularly those of the warrior, servant, and builder classes, lived for millennia, accumulating vast knowledge and massive pride. This longevity played a major role in their downfall, as stagnation and arrogance crept into every layer of their civilization. Fact number 57. The Covenant dismissed humanity's potential because of prophecy. One reason the Covenant so fiercely hated humanity was because ancient Forerunner records predicted that Reclaimers, human descendants, would inherit the mantle. The prophets, fearful that this truth would undermine their rule, declared humanity heretical. Thus, the Human Covenant War wasn't just about territorial expansion. It was a preemptive religious cleansing designed to preserve a fragile lie. Fact number 58. The Needler was based on the idea of an organic weapon. Halo's Needler, a gun that fires homing crystalline shards, was conceptualized as a weapon that blurred the line between machine and living organism. Early designs imagined the Needler almost growing its ammunition internally, feeding off biological or energy sources. In the final game, it remains one of the most alien-feeling weapons ever designed. Fact number 59. The Ark is technically a miniature galaxy builder. The Ark, Installation 00, isn't just a remote Halo control station. It's a factory capable of building entire new Halo rings. Its construction bays can replicate megastructures on an unimaginable scale. This capability is why the Ark was located outside the galaxy, so that in the event of a galactic purge, the rebuilding of life could begin safely, protected from infection. Fact number 60. The story of Halo is about cycles, not endings. Across games, books, and hidden lore, Halo's true theme isn't about defeating evil or winning wars. It's about cycles: creation, arrogance, downfall, rebirth. The Forerunners fell into the same mistakes as the precursors. Humanity teeters on the same edge. Even Cortana's rebellion mirrors the ancient sins of her creators. Halo doesn't offer easy answers. It offers a question. Can a civilization break the cycle, or are we doomed to repeat it? Even after 60 deep facts, the Halo universe still holds secrets few players have uncovered. There are ancient battles fought between species whose names we no longer remember. There are Forerunner structures adrift in dead space, recording memories of civilizations that never rose. There are echoes of the precursors, hidden in the darkest corners of the domain, waiting for someone curious or foolish enough to wake them. Zeta Halo, fractured and wounded, is not the end of the Forerunners' story. It's a warning, a monument to what happens when power outpaces wisdom. And beyond Zeta, beyond the stars humanity knows, there may be more rings, more arcs, more threats that the Flood was meant to contain, but never did. Because the Halo saga was never just about survival. It's about memory, about learning from failure, about breaking free from the endless loops that trapped those who came before. And somewhere, out there, in the deep night between galaxies, something is still watching. Something that remembers. The story of Halo isn't over. It's barely begun. And that's it. 60 deep secrets and hidden truths from across the Halo universe. If you made it all the way through, thanks for joining me on this journey. Whether you're listening to fall asleep, relaxing after a long day, or just feeding your curiosity about this incredible universe, I'm glad you were here. If you learned something new today, consider leaving a like or sharing this video with a fellow Halo fan. I'd love to hear which facts surprised you the most, so feel free to drop it in the comments. And if you want more calm lore deep dives, gaming documentaries, and forgotten stories from the worlds we love, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep your mind open. The stars are still watching.